Hi, my name is Kawena Charlot, and I'm the director of the School of Intuitive Living, and I'm also a psychic and an energy healer. And today we're going to talk about energy and pictures. So in the clairvoyant world, you'll hear a lot, especially from the kind of tradition in which I came from, which stems from the Berkeley Psychic Institute. You'll hear a lot of talk about energy and pictures. So what pictures are little bits and pieces, of moments or thoughts that you kind of have still left in your system. They can be in your body, they can be in your aura. And what those are, they're just like little tiny energetic frequencies. And what happens is we're always kind of creating a movie of our life. Each one of us is seeing and kind of creating this as we're looking, right? And all of that gets filtered through our system. But sometimes we can't handle everything that's happening in the moment for one reason or next. It could be that, oh shoots, I can't deal with this conversation. It could be that you're driving along and somebody slams on the brakes and you slam on your brake and you have to get to work and you can only process, say, 80-90% of that moment. But there's still that little heart moment of like, that kind of little feeling there. And so sometimes that can kind of stay in your system, that little moment, that energize. It's kind of like a high frequency, energetic, moment. And they can kind of build up on each other. So that little moment can kind of ends up being kind of attracted sometimes to another moment where you had that. It can be attracted to an emotion maybe you're holding in your space. Maybe you have a fear that you're kind of holding in your space. And so what happens is all of these pictures kind of act like little satellites. They're like all around us. And when something that's kind of congruent to that comes into our sphere. So say you have that moment with a car and, later on, if somebody starts a conversation and maybe you get a little moment of fear. Well, it might trigger what happened earlier, and that might trigger what happened 3 weeks ago, and that might trigger what happened when you were 8 years old. All those little pieces. And so that's one of the reasons we go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds flat when we're kind of feeling an emotion, is because sometimes we're not just lit up, we're not in present time, we're getting lit up on our energy and pictures. So when we talk about energy, sometimes that's just, a lot of times that's the emotion or the thoughts that's sort of around these pictures. And all of it can get built up in our space. And the challenge with that is, we can kind of feel a lot of emotion. Sometimes they can stop us. Sometimes those little moments can kind of still, they can be like little nexus points for belief systems, thoughts about ourselves. So if we have like a little thing and then, you have another thought that's congruent, the world is a scary place, or, that's too frightening, I can't do that. All of that can kind of build up in your space. And it can limit your, it can kind of make you emotionally flamboyant. You can bounce around a lot emotionally if you have a lot of energy and pictures in your space. It can also affect your health. It can affect your stress levels. It can affect what you can create. If you have a lot of energy and pictures around, I can't create that. So say when you were a little kid, you wrote a story and you thought it was great and the kids in the class teased you and they said it sucked. Well, maybe you developed, some pictures around that and you're like, ooh, I'm not a good writer, right? And then maybe, you got a B when you were in high school. And because you had this belief that you weren't a good writer, you discounted that B. And instead of saying, hey, good, I got a B, that was better than average, you might have gone, it wasn't an A. And that could have gone into that I'm a crappy writer kind of slot. And then, you can just build up. And that could kind of just build up. And then later on, if somebody was like, wow, you're so original, you should really write a book. Oh, no, I can't. Whereas if you released all of that, then you would have more openness, more kind of creative opportunities, or you would even just see them coming into your space. You could notice them because you wouldn't be stuck on energy and pictures. I actually know someone who had something like that. Somebody had offered her an opportunity to write a kid's book, and she was so stuck on a belief system that said she couldn't, that she just kind of said, no, even though you're trying to hire me for this job, I can't do it because I'm stuck on this belief pattern. In her case, it was astrology. She was like, no, I cannot start something during this time period because the sun is in conjunct and the moon is somewhere else. And so anyway, so because of all that, she couldn't write that book. She was just downright not going to do it. But this astrology was really an excuse. Really, there was some belief system in her subconscious. And that's where a lot of this is. A lot of our energy and pictures is in our subconscious. That's where we, that's really where we're reacting from. That's really where we're creating from, is from our subconscious. That's why the Clairvoyant program and the beginning classes are so powerful, because people start to release this. They start to kind of excavate their subconscious, and they start to release the energetic charge, the emotionality off of all of these events. It doesn't mean you forget them. Of course you remember them, but they no longer hold that kind of charge. And because of that, all of a sudden people start finding that they can kind of do things they never thought that they could do. They can react in healthier ways than they never thought that they could before. They can, pull to them. They can manifest things that they never thought that they could, because they're releasing all of these energy and pictures. So anyway, fast forward. They can also, when you're really stuck on a picture or an idea, it sometimes can even go so far as affecting people's health. We all know stress affects health, but so do our beliefs. So I'll give you an example. Gilda Radner. So Gilda Radner was utterly convinced that she was going to get breast cancer, I believe. And so she was always kind of saying it. She was like, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this. Well, guess what happened to her? She got breast cancer. Now, so we got to watch our thoughts, watch what we're putting in. If we think about ourselves as these amazing organic things, but if we're putting, that rely on thought and emotion and energy, if we keep putting viruses, if we keep putting things that, those thoughts, if we keep putting things that are bad for us into our space, then we're going to start creating that in our life. And so again, that's that. So she ended up getting sick and dying of breast cancer, which is too bad. But it's a good lesson for all of us to just be careful about what we say to ourselves, to be careful about what we, hold in our space. So that we can kind of, and knowing that, just knowing that now, that this is how it works, you can kind of allow yourself to just start allowing that energy. If you feel a negative thought, or if you start going, oh wait, look, and try to catch your mind. You're like, oh wait, look, I thought that about myself. You just be like, oh, delete, I'm not doing that. I disagree with you, thought. And then I'll just kind of allow that to kind of not lodge in your space. Of course, I have a ton of tools, and I show people very specific ways to deal with this in the Clairvoyant and in the meditation class. But for now, I think that would be a great thing to do, is if you find yourself holding on to emotions or festering with things, just kind of allow it for a second to just drain out of you. If you have those thoughts, just kind of, go, okay, I recognize that, I'm pissed off, but I'm going to just now let that go. And I'm not saying that you have to let everything go that you don't like in your life. Sometimes these are moments that you can reflect on and go, gee, maybe I should make a change. But if you have like the kind of thoughts I'm talking about, or, self-criticism, oh, I'm such a jerk, or, oh, I'm so lousy at that, or, oh, I'm, whatever it is, that constant negative self-talk, if it's not true, really try to stop it. Try to catch those thoughts and just go, oop, delete. I'm not attaching to you. I'm not attaching to you, belief system. I'm not attaching to you, thought. And try to allow that to dissipate. And the more you do, it's going to be like a miracle in your life. Trust me. The better things are going to start to get. The better you're going to feel. The more kind of emotionally stable you're going to feel. The more you're going to be able to pull things and the kind of life that you're really wanting. And that's a big part. I do a lot of my marketing is about create the life you want. And it's really true. I'm not making it up. People really start creating more and more and more of what they want, the more they release all of this energy and pictures. And there's a ton of different kinds of pictures. So, we get into all of that in the Clairvoyant program. So you can start, it's fun, you start being able to see them. So you can see them, and then you can kind of read them, and you know what's going on with them, and you can kind of get rid of them. That's one of the ways we use psychic ability at the School of Intuitive Living, is kind of energetic self-diagnosis. We can read ourselves, we can see what's happening with us, and then we can release it. It's incredibly beneficial. So anyway, that is a little bit about energy and pictures. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at KawenaCharlot.com. If you have any interest in classes, check out the website at KawenaCharlot.com. You have a nice day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.